Hey friends, so we're going to do a fun project today. I picked up these banners on clearance, I think last year at Hobby Lobby, I'm pretty sure. And then these little chipboard stencils I got the other day at a thrift store. They're brand new, never opened, and so I'm going to use these banners and make some different Christmas banners. So they come in a 10-pack. There's 5 of the stripes and 5 polka dots. So I'm going to use 3 for joy and 3 for joy again, and then that leaves 4 that I'm going to paint Noel on later. But today I'm just doing the joy ones. And so I'm punching out the little boards, and I'm going to trace the letters just with a pencil onto my banner. So I'm doing both the joy words. So I'm going to do 2 of each letter, J, O, and Y. And I'm just going around, and it's kind of hard to get that pencil to draw on the burlap because they are burlap banners. They're really cute. And you can find banners just about any craft store, I think. You can find them on Amazon. I saw some at Hobby Lobby the other day that are burlap that are a little bit bigger than this that would be super cute. They don't have the white painted polka dots or stripes on. But anyway, I'm just tracing all these letters on the banners. And then once I get them all traced with pencil, I'm just going to use regular red acrylic paint and paint the letters. So I'm just going to put a little bit of red paint on it, just a scrap piece of cardboard. And I'm just using a small little paintbrush, so it's kind of tedious work, but I'm just going a little bit at a time and just following my outlines. And I just got a little bit on my paintbrush each time, so I just go over little by little. So it actually probably took me longer than it needed to be, but I didn't want to mess up. So there you can see I've got all those 6 banners painted, and I even went on over them with a second coat. So I really filled them in pretty good. You can still see the little polka dot and stripe designs behind the red lettering, but I like that a lot. So I looked at them and I thought they need a little bit more defining, and I thought this Sharpie marker would just clean up the edges a little bit, but also define those edges of the letters. So I'm just going around following the outline of the letter with my black marker. And it would have been better if it would have been a brand new marker. This is one I've had in my drawer for quite some time. So I think a brand new one would have made cleaner, crisper edges probably. But I think it turned out really cute. So I did that with all the letters. So now I've got some twine, and I'm just unraveling a long piece, and I'm going to tape up the edge so they go through the beads simply. So I'm going to start with my beads. I'm going to put a red, white, and green on the end and then in between each of the banners. So you'll be able to see that I put 3 beads on, then a banner, 3 beads, then a banner, 3 beads, then a banner, and then end with 3 beads. And then I started tying knots and realized I shouldn't have put everything on my twine. I should have done a knot, then the beads, then the knot, then the banner, and then added the beads and then the knots. So you will see after I get them all done, then I have to end up taking them all off and just doing a little bit at a time because I wanted knots in between the banners and the beads, excuse me, so they would stay where I wanted them to stay. So I made it a little bit longer and harder than I needed it to be. I have a tendency of doing that, but I made it work. So I'm cutting off excess, just making sure I have a lot of string to work with. And here I'm tying a knot in between the banner and the beads. And that one I could easily do. And same with the end, the little knot on the other end, the very end of the beads. And then I went to tie a knot there, and I realized, oh, silly me, I can't do that with all the banners and beads on. So I took them all off, and here you can see I'm doing a knot now, and then I will add my beads, then do the knot, and then the banner, etc. So learn from my mistakes. And you could embellish these banners with lots of things. You could put little tiny greenery picks on them, or like I'm going to put little jingle bells on the end of each banner and a little twine bow on top of that. So right now I'm just putting the bows on, and then I will make each little bow and glue that on top, and it reinforces the little glue that's holding the bell on. I'm making these up for my craft show in November. I'm getting pretty excited about that this time of year. I used to do several craft shows, but now I just do one where I set up and it runs for 9 days and then I go take down. So it's a really great craft fair for me. It works great. So I am just been working hard to get lots of supply, lots of things to sell and set up in my booth. So now I'm just trying to decide how big of loops I want at the end. Then I'm cutting off the excess and I'm just gluing those ends together, trying not to burn my finger. I eventually get my little finger protector, and that works great. And then I'm going to do the same thing on this end, make a loop. And then I'm going to take some fabric strips of fabric that I have, just a red and white gingham, and just make the awareness bow, cross them over, and then gather the center. Then I'm taking a little piece of twine and wrapping around it, and I'll tie it in a knot, and then I will tie a little bow and leave it on top of the gingham bow. And I will do this twice. And then I will glue them on each end of where I made those loops at the end of the banner. This could be hung on a Christmas tree if it's large enough, on a bookshelf, on a shelf, on a tabletop, hanging over the edge. Lots of different places, and it's small enough that it will fit most anywhere. You could even cut your own banners out of fabric or burlap or paper cardstock. This one I had a little bit harder time getting the bow to look right. And then I end up gluing it on the end here and actually burning my finger a little bit too. So please be careful with those glue guns. My fingers have been burnt so many times. Right there, I got myself. And that is it. Super easy and fun, and it turned out so cute. I love it. I hope you do too. I hope it inspires you to make something similar. And please check out the link below to my Etsy shop, and please view my other YouTube videos in my channel. I have so many, and you have a whimsical day. Thanks so much.